Dot and Bubble is probably the episode that I feel the most conflicted on, and whether or not I fully like it as much as I did when it first came out, I think it's possible that that gut punch of an ending kind of overshadows the fact that the rest of the story is a little mediocre. It's nothing terrible by any means. I do think it's a pretty solid bubblegum horror with a dark bit of social commentary, hidden undertone, which is pretty successful, but I don't know if it's necessarily the masterpiece I thought it was when I first saw it. I think the main thing I appreciate this episode for is being a pretty effective Dr. Light story, as I do think the format of the screen bubble helps the Doctor to still be an active presence in the story, despite Ncuti's scheduling issues. And I also think there's a nice thematic link to having the Doctor basically be locked out of this story when we ultimately get to the twist. And I think they make up for Ncuti's relative passive role by giving him one of his best scenes at the end of the story. And I like how this shows the more positive side of 15, that he's willing to put aside his frustrations with these people and try and take the moral high ground, but them still refusing to accept it, which is what makes that ending all the more tragic. However, I don't know if using teens and 20-somethings were the best demographic for this too far gone type of story, as the characters like Ricky September showed that there is still plenty of development and hope for these types of people. I initially looked past this issue and it was just this episode, some bratty rich teens. However, when more egregious examples of this sins of the father, ignoring the root of the problem and only focusing on the side effects of prejudice, occurred in season 2, and some questionable quotes from Russell about young creatives, it made me wonder if this story was written with a little bit of unfair bias towards that particular demographic, which somewhat undermines the point of the episode. Overall, I'm glad it's a story that Doctor Who told, but I don't know if Russell himself was necessarily the right person to tell it.